Not anymore, buddy.
Not anymore. Not anymore. So, though, out of all the guys here, I will say Sion James is probably going to be at the bottom of that list. Now, wing swingman, would you put Ace Bailey as a swingman or no?
Yeah. Probably
All right.
would put Cooper too, honestly.
Who?
Probably would put Cooper too, honestly.
Yeah, I'm actually more in the belief that Cooper plays a bit too demonstrative to play the 3. I think he is a natural 4.
I think he's gonna play either forward spot, like as we had him as a combo forward up there. Yeah, like
but he's natural fit.
I think you can kind of play him at 2 through 4 positions, but just like Ace or Carter Bryant or any of these other guys.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll go right here. I think Ace Bailey, we talked earlier, he's a guy, I think at this point people would compare more of a Brandon Miller archetype in terms of being able to play multiple positions, going to be a score first, 3-level scorer that with his athleticism and length, you hope to be a decent defender when engaged. Trey Johnson, some people have said he's the 6'5", 6'6" version of a Cam Thomas. Arguably the best natural scorer in this class. He's gotten better as a facilitator and creator for others. I still think tunnel vision is something that he needs to work on. Now, the biggest thing is, like, he's not a bad defender. It's not like he's a cone. It's all about being him engaged. He's going to really only guard 2s and 3s, maybe some 1s. But is his ceiling a 6-man or really being a 20-point per game scorer? I've heard some people say like Malik Monk, a 6'6" Malik Monk is his ceiling.
Trey Johnson?
Yeah.
6'6" Malik Monk sounds rad to me.
That sounds rad to me too, and I'm fine with that. I didn't mean to say anything wrong with that. What do you think of that?
No, I know. I'm just saying like that. Well, it's funny that like when even sorry to go back to this, but like going back to the Kobe Brown versus Colin Murray Boyles thing, and we said, well, like Colin Murray Boyles is a better defender, he's a better rebounder, he's more athletic. Like if you added all those qualities to a Kobe Brown, that would make him a much more interesting prospect, right? Yeah. So yeah, man, if you're like, okay, like Malik Monk, but he's 6'6", that sounds pretty cool.
No, and I get that. And the whole thing with the whole Kobe Brown was just to talk about how players of similar archetypes are viewed entirely differently in one draft class to another, was what I was bringing up.
I think you were more, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I think you were more saying like, these guys are so similar when they may have a similar like measurements and like archetype, whatever you're kind of classifying that as. But if you're better at a few different things, that like could completely shift how a team sees you.
I think in the sense that I wouldn't say they were like so similar, but I will say from a physique standpoint, yes, I think
exactly. Like to me, that's not an archetype. That's just their similar physique. Yeah. You can have guys who have a similar physique and play nothing alike, like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying they play nothing alike, but like, I think Colin Murray Boyles certainly has a lot more to work with than Kobe Brown did.
Yeah, and going back to the whole Malik Monk and Trey Johnson thing, I actually like the comparison more of a Malik Monk than a Cam Thomas, because I actually think Trey Johnson impacts the game more like a Malik Monk, which, no offense to Cam Thomas, I just think Malik Monk is a more impactful winning basketball player at his stage. Now, Cam Thomas has taken growths in his game and steps in his game to become better, but I think Malik...
Cam's fun as hell.
Yeah.
He's a great scorer.
But I think Malik, due to him being a guy who got sent to LA and then ends up in Sacramento, was forced to mature and realize I had to change my play style to be a impactful guy, and that's why he's been, a perennial 6-man candidate over the last year.
Yeah. I like the Cedric Howard moving up. I had told you that previously.
We are big Cedric Howard guys here.
Yeah. This is a Cedric Howard podcast, guys.
It's not a podcast, but But no, we are pro Cedric Howard here.
Cedric Howard show / podcast / wherever you're listening or watching.
Yeah. Cedric Howard's a guy that I think from the beginning I really liked. Watching his Wazoo tape, I know it's a few games. You see a guy who was clearly confident, but even going back further to when he was playing at a lower level, he's a guy who shot die wise took all the right shots you want, took him at a high volume, scaled his game up, 7-foot wingspan, mature, emotional intelligence, as well as plays a position who can be a big 2 guard, natural 3. I think he's plug and play. I'm not really concerned about the injury either. I think it was just a fluke.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned in that I don't know. They never said what shoulder it was. That's the thing. I've never found out what shoulder it was. And it happened in practice, and you don't really see.
I didn't dig down that deep. I knew it was a shoulder injury.
We were digging down because in Getting the Game 101 draft class, we had Kendra Cheney on, and she wanted to go and examine how badly it could affect him, and we I had never heard if it was a shooting shoulder or not. And we couldn't find anything. I was talking to a bunch
of the combine though.
Yeah, I know. I know he shot at the combine, but nonetheless, if it could possibly be reoccurring or who knows? I don't know that factor, but the fact that he was at the combine and they shot at the combine are very good signs for sure.
And the fact that unlike a Cam Whitmore, which I was told after the draft, the red flag was that he had bow legs. He had very similar knee problems to an Andrew Bynum, and his leg was bow legged. So the whole thing was actually a trainer explained it to me, was the way that their team was, the risk and reward was the probability of him being able to have a 10-year career was less likely. You get what I'm saying? And then I
think again, somebody that kind of made me see injuries maybe a little differently from Getting the Game 101. Ben Falk brought up that of Cleaning the Glass, brought up that the way he sees it is there are risks on everything in the draft, and injury is just another form of risk. And to me, seeing a guy if you're outside of let's say the top 10 and you're I don't think this guy can have a 10-year career, aren't you kind of more looking at this guy lasting past his rookie contract, or even contributing during that rookie contract? The 10-year career thing seems a bit much if you're
well, it wasn't that,
and he went 20th. To me, if you were 14 to 19, maybe some other factors should have gone in there. And I don't know where this person was drafting, because Cam Whitmore was originally slated to be a potential top 5 guy.
It was going off what you just said. It was going off, I think the exact word was how likely was he going to get to that second contract.
Oh, okay. It wasn't the 10-year thing. It was
no. I paraphrased, literally just off record. But as soon as he said the second contract thing, it's one of those things. The light bulb hit, and the whole phrase. Yeah, he literally says when you draft somebody,
then that's a lot more scary.
Yeah, the guy says when you literally this trainer is when we as a medical staff we tell the guys how likely is it this player with said injury or said injury risk will make it to the next contract, the second contract, or make it through. And that is literally how you phrased it, how Ben Falk, one of the OGs in NBA analytics, is a guy that I think that phrased it perfect. It's when you look at the guys with risks, you want to see, okay, you have them for 4 years. How likely will they be able to get to the next contract, or how likely will they be able to contribute in that 4 years?
I think Ben was more not talking even about the next contract or anything. That was But Ben was more saying that injury is just another form of risk in the prospect. Will they shoot? Can they handle physicality? What's their likelihood of being re-injured? That thing.
Yeah. And again, I think literally looking at it as the rookie deal lens, how impactful. And this is something that I said earlier when we were talking about the Noah Gay and the Colin Murray Boyles is in that 4-year deal. And I think Jeremy Grant's a perfect example of this was like, if you draft a Jeremy Grant type player, you aren't going to be the one to reap the rewards of that fruit that you work on. It's going to be the next team.
Yeah.
It's going to be the team on the second contract, maybe even the third contract. If if everything pans out.
It depends where, it depends how your team's set up. Yeah.
Sure. So I think Cedric Howard, out of the players in this wing swingman classification, is actually
he'd be somebody I'd be willing to bet on.
We've been talking about Portland. Portland's a team that could take this guy.
I agree. Because I think Carter Bryant's in play for Portland too.
Yeah, and same thing with Houston. I'll even go there. Like these are all teams that I think.
I agree.
There are so many teams in the teens that could take a Cedric Howard in front of a Carter Bryant or a Liam McNeely because they're like, hey, he offers us all the same upside and is going to be able to come in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Carter Bryant, we've talked about, he's kind of a toolsy guy. There's a lot of questions around him, similar of a Patrick Williams mold, where defensively, I think he's going to be able to contribute. There is a little bit of passiveness to his game, the athleticism and the moldability there, where maybe he can get up to like a 220, 230 frame where he's going to be guarding multiple positions.
Yeah.
And the question is the scalability.
Yeah.
Now, Liam McNeely, Drake Powell, and Will Riley. Will Riley, ultimate slasher, former point guard, 6'8", bouncy guy. Question is the 3-point shot and the skinniness. What is he really? Drake Powell, athletic, jump out the gym type player.
Crazy athlete.
Solid defender, kind of a passive background guy who doesn't really assert himself on the offensive side.
Offensively, you're terrified.
Yeah. Liam McNeely, probably closer to a Corey Kispert-esque like wing who, I think a lot of people don't realize he did shoot 40% unguarded from 3, 36% on catch and shoot threes. And I think holistically, yes, his numbers were below 40% from 3, but he literally told me at the combine that he played the entire year injured. So on a bum ankle. And if anyone's played on a bum ankle, that is probably one of the hardest things to play through because it F's up everything, especially your jump shot because you're shooting on one leg.
No, his shooting numbers were, they were all over the place. But he has that sample size from the Montverde days, from,
he's one of those guys, like a Luke Kennard and stuff that mechanically is going to be good. But what do you think of those 3 guys? How would you rank them?
Probably similarly. Yeah, Will is so much more talented offensively than Drake Powell, but Drake's like a great defender. Like that's the one thing where, Drake can probably get on the court defensively. Yeah, obviously has more of a wingspan than either of those guys. But he and then just like from a vertical explosiveness, like he's unreal. But like finding that offensive game like has been kind of something that I know apparently played really well at Tatum camp last year. He had like a great scrimmage there, but on the whole, he has struggled to score at times. Yeah.
I want to just add to you. I think Liam will agree is above both those just because I think the safetiness of that pick at the very least.
He's strong. He's a strong player and like just his track record. And then the passing, like, some of the other things he can do offensively.
So the question is, I think Drake and Will, they both have the detractors, but they both have their lovers. Okay.
Yeah.
And I will back up that Will Riley statistically is one of the best slashers in college basketball this past year. Really good off the ball. He's someone who clearly understands how to read the floor. I just have
one of the best. Can you like quantify that?
Cutter. Like he was one of the most efficient scorers off cuts in this past year in college basketball, if that makes sense. Like
slashing means something else. Yeah.
What do you mean? I thought slasher is cutter.
Slashing is kind of driving. Yeah. It's not necessarily cutting. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I always understood slasher was a guy who was like good cutter and good driver of the
I
basket.
feel like slashing is kind of more on ball and cutting is more off ball. Yeah, but that's how I would see it. Yeah.
I just want to. Okay, yep. Slashing, but also I think he is also decent at dribble penetrating, not like in terms of as good as of a cutter,
Yeah.
but.
I mean, I would think you're more referring to his ability to play off ball, his ability to shoot.
He's kind of a Karis LeVert type mold. If we're gonna say, if you're trying to develop him, would you agree offensively? Or Bub Carrington?
Karis was like a lot longer, right? Yeah.
Karis is 6'6".
No, but like longer, like wingspan.
Yeah. He measured in what 6'9", wingspan 6'8".
Will?
Yeah.
Will's wingspan is like almost even to his height. Yeah.
So 6'7".
I think 6'8", but like like he, whatever it was, Will doesn't have a long wingspan.
So the thing with Will is you're getting a guy who's a former guard. The jump shot looks fine. It's a hit or miss at times. He does seem like he's a bit more offensively.
6'8", 3/4. Sorry.
Word. So he's a guy who seems like he could be a bit more of the higher upside offensive player. He has all the tools to be decent defensively. Drake has all the tools to be a solid role player who, if he can assert himself on offense or at least become a volume 3-point shooter to some degree, he can be a impactful player. That's why and the athleticism is just so, like, it's not that Will Riley's not a good athlete. No, Drake Powell, a borderline elite athlete, Will like average NBA athlete. So that's why I have him higher.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. I could see Will possibly going higher in the draft, but those guys are like a lot of draft battles. Like we're even saying between like Derek Queen and Common Malawatch, like you're getting two totally different skill sets and things you're banking on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hugo Gonzalez seems to be like another guy who just athletically you're banking on
the European Will Riley.
Yeah. The European Will Riley.
Who's better at defense.
Yeah. And worse at shooting, right?
Terrible at shooting. It's also, but the whole thing is people don't realize he like just never has gotten an opportunity with Real Madrid. Like Real Madrid plays him as like their defensive specialist who can guard 1 through 3, can start fast breaks, and just doesn't really let him shoot the ball. But he also doesn't really assert himself either.
Yeah.
Now,
Sion James versus Kobe Bryant. Where are you seeing there?
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant, by the way, was like the one guy at the draft combine who had a negative wingspan differential.
I still think he could be the Jalen Wells of this draft class if drafted in the second round. Absolute bomber from 3. He's a guy that like
Jalen was a lot more athletic though. Right?
Yeah. I think and better defensively, but Brea plays well. Though I do know he has 2 iron rods in his leg. He suffered. That's what you told me, that right?
No.
Somebody told me this. I don't know if this is news to people. Yeah, he has 2 metal rods in his leg. He's suffered stress fractures in both legs, and they put metal rods in his legs.
That's brutal.
Yeah, so people said he doesn't move his feet well, if you notice, as a result of that.
Yeah, like seemed like he had a few things athletically that were less than desirable.
Yeah, and Sion James is a jack of all trades, master of none, glue guy. He's just kind of a guy you're going to bet on, might hang around because he sees the floor well, seems like he can be a glue guy, might not do anything that stands out.
He's your Isan Almansa of Swingmen.
Yeah,